Okay, so we're going to do it again. Doing this again. Doing this again. Okay, I'm hoping that you guys can hear me. I shared the live. Okay, hey, my unicorn friend, you know who you are. Letty, good to see you. Okay, let me see. Is this better? Is this better?
It seems to get worse when I come on, to be honest. Let me mute. Hold on.
How is it now? Is it better?
It's better when I mute.
Okay. Shit. Okay. Damn it. Let me try to figure this out. What can we do? Maybe I should, yeah, why don't you come back on? Why don't you remove yourself and then ask to be invited again? Okay. So I'm going to be talking. We're trying to figure out how the technology is working. Again, another reason why I really need to get off my ass and get this podcast going, because this is insane. So let me see if you can bring up. So we're going to, the subject today is about love. The subject is about love. And it's about, James, can you tell me if you can hear me well, or if it's a reverberation, if it's echoing, if it's bouncing back and forth? Can you tell me? Can you type in? Because if we're having problems, then today's not the day. We're fine. I hear you good. Okay, cool. All right. Okay. So yeah, that threw me off my track here. So love. Okay. So you might think to yourself, well, love is everywhere. Love is the answer. Love is this, that, and the other. Thank you, Impasta. Love is heals all wounds. Love is this, that, and the other. Well, if that's true, okay, the premise of this is, why is love not experienced? Why? Because if love was the answer, and love was going to be the answer to everything, love conquers all, then what I would say to you is that we, okay, you and I, would see a planet that is in a 5D vibration with no geno, no famine, no war, right? So that's just an expression of the lack of love that people are truly experiencing collectively, not individually. This is not about the individual. Well, actually, it is part of it, and I'll explain. What's happening is that we live in a society, and we have for thousands of years, where marriages, and I touched upon that last live, we're all arranged for power, for wealth, for title, for this, for that, for all the way down to even a farmer would marry his daughter off for more oxen, more land, more this, more that. So clearly love was secondary to every decision. And what it's done is it's created in people a fear of really being vulnerable and really loving and really being authentic in their hearts, irregardless of what the answer will be. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? So that's what we are looking to discuss, okay? Is that, okay, I'm sorry, Ampasa, I really don't have the patience for you. Sorry. All right, moving on. So what we're looking at here is, how do we bring love onto the planet in a way where the vibration transforms and manifests into the new earth, which we've been which some of the great psychics and some of the great philosophers and have been talking about for thousands of years, the new earth and the promise of the new earth and what that meant. And that's going to take love. It's going to take love to dissolve this really toxic situation. Instead of having a world controlled by the 1%'s avarice, greed, and deviancies, which we know is for a fact. We know this. And it started spilling out with a singer called back in the 70s, where he did a movie based on I think it was Fastos. I think, anyway, I'm going off the track. But the reason why we do not feel safe loving, and this is why I've been asking you guys to watch certain movies like Rob Roy and Braveheart and Sense and Sensibility and Wuthering Heights, is because we have been shown, Jane Eyre, we have been shown that love is not safe. It is, my son said something really, really beautiful, probably one of the best quotes I've heard in years. He said, vulnerability is your second strength. Vulnerability is your second strength. And it is. Great topic to discuss. Thank you, James. I agree. It is a good topic to discuss because what's happening is that the reason why you have a runner, okay, which goes right back, running from love, right? And fear of love, because what happens when the runner comes back, and this, I hear this a lot with my clients, is the runner comes back to the chaser and the chaser now becomes the runner. Why? Because the runner, now the chaser becoming the runner is freaking out going, well, they're going to do that to me again and it's going to destroy me and I can't do another dark night of the soul. I'm talking about it on a personal level for you. But then I'm going to talk about it on a level that is going to be about how you can manifest a change of fearlessness. And the sad part is that it's going to be like an exorcism between your ego and your soul. Your soul knows it's safe. It is a fearless energy, because it knows what is experienced in hundreds of thousands of incarnations on this planet and for many of you on other planets, okay? It remembers its very making, and it remembers that its making was created by love, by desire, by curiosity. Does that make sense? And fearlessness. And we have examples of sentient beings right here, humans right here, who do amazing feats of fearlessness in the physical world. What do I mean by that? People jumping out of fucking airplanes. People doing all kinds of aerial acrobats. People surfing 200-foot waves. Insane shit like that, or 100-foot wave. We've seen people climbing, skydiving off mountains, snowboarding off fucking trails that are impassable, and then until they show us it is possible. Some make it, some don't, but sure, they sure lived on their own, on their own rules, with a fearlessness that we have to admire and applaud. Standing ovation time. And yet love, the very thing that we seek and we've written about for thousands of years, love, desire, wanting to be seen, wanting to be valued, we run from it. We all talk about love, but we don't want to actually experience it in its full magic. Because in its full magic, we have to be completely naked. In other words, transparent to our beloved. Not to trust them that they won't harm us, but to know that regardless of that, we are still going to stand in that assemblage point, in that surrender, in that ability to just allow everything, every idea of what it should look like, this moment of love, loving your beloved, and allowing that beloved to see you and realizing that no matter what, even if your beloved betrays you or leaves you, that you'll be okay. And I think that you have to trust the dark night of the soul, especially for some of you who have gone through the dark night of the soul after the first or second or third separation. There's a separation with your twin that really fucking, tore you up bad. Really, really bad. Probably the worst dark night of the soul you ever had. Let me just say from experience that once that happens, nothing can hurt you that bad. Not even them dropping their bodies. And I say that from experience. I can say that from experience. My twin dying was not, it was painful, but it was not as painful as the dark night of the soul from our separation, because it dealt with a lot of betrayal. It dealt with a lot of a lack of clarity. It dealt with a lot of assumption, accusations. There was a lot of unfairness on both sides. And I can tell you that when he dropped his body, us being in union as twin rays, that dark night of the soul, which I knew wasn't going to happen ever again. So I need you to trust yourself that the first dark night of the soul of that magnitude is almost like an inoculation of the soul. Does that make sense? In a way, for the lack of a better way. I don't like to use that word, but let's just use it for a minute. And what happens is that it's not that you don't care anymore, it's that you become transcendental in the way you accept love and the expression of love to your beloved. We can't keep allowing the 1% with their fuckery in the infrastructure, which is causing people to be afraid to be completely vulnerable because they got bills to pay. Okay? Unless you're sitting on, from what I'm hearing, $500,000 a year, right? You're not doing well. And why am I saying that? Because I'm talking to people who are making over $100,000 a year and they're struggling. Because the bigger the money, the bigger the bills. Does that make sense? So we're having problems here. We're having problems because the infrastructure that is controlling us is impeding our ability to love. Because the immediate need of any human being isn't love. It's shelter. It's heat or coolness. It's water. It's food. And these basic primal needs are so overly involved in our daily focus that it's actually preventing us from actually being able to be fully in love with ourselves and in love and loving our person, twin flame, high level soulmates, whatever. I'm going to do an oracle reading, by the way. So stay tuned on that because I want to see what the energies are saying about the status of love in the community of who are awakened and who are hell-bent on being even more awakened to the new earth, to 5D consciousness, and to self-realization, to understand the necessity of the vulnerability of being to love, to walk the path of love, completely and utterly. The level of need to survive rather than thriving. See, you shouldn't have to survive. You should be thriving. And thriving looks like this. You have hours upon weeks where you can actually discover yourself, taking walks in the rain, journaling, singing, dancing, creating, fixing up your dwelling, planting, gardening, reading, lecturing, talking, writing poetry, whatever, discovering yourself. Self-realization does not come from toiling at jobs. I think the bank employee that sat there for, that was found 4 days after she passed. Yeah. Those examples are a gift to us. Those are gifts because what it's done is marshaled the consciousness of the country, of the world, because it's gone worldwide, to show us that they don't give one fuck about us. Not you, not me. And so if you know that to be true, then your job in this incarnation, in particular this new age, is to actually create the life you want to live, not the life you have to live. And that takes love of yourself. This is why love is something that is it's an integral part of your ascension. Self-love is self-worth. Self-love is fearless. It doesn't give a shit if the person who you love is going to run again because it now sees this childlike fear with patience and compassion. In this life or the next, I surrender, because you can't force someone to see their worth through your eyes, especially if you haven't done the work yourself. So examples of self-worth are people literally quitting jobs and moving to different countries and co-creating new ways of earning a living. And some of them are creating communities. Why is that important? Because if you are in a twin relationship, twin ray, twin flame, or high level soulmate, what you do, they will rubber band to you. I don't care if you move to Ireland, Scotland. I don't care if you move to Bali. I don't care if you move to Nepal, France. I don't give a shit where you go. When they are ready, they will rubber band to you. But you have to have this transcendental acceptance of in this life of the next, I surrender. But you can't surrender to the 1% infrastructure because it's harmful to you. It is. And so at some point you need to like get to a place where you move into loving yourself with such passion, the kind of passion you've shown to your twin or high level soulmate, that kind of passion. But when was the last time you showed it to yourself? Ever? Did you ever? When was the last time you did something that was so against the grain, so against what others would think is okay, normal, societal conditioning, but it went against that? When was the last time? And it made you so fucking happy because you had surrendered to your light. Surrendered to your light. And that's what needs to happen. And when that happens, you will actually get to a place where your love is so powerful to yourself, because the twin is an expression of your soul in a different body, same gender or opposite gender, doesn't fucking matter. It is an expression in a different body. Does that make sense? And because that is a truth, how you express love to yourself is in a complete, powerful medicine you give to your twin remotely without even being conscious of it, probably. Maybe you will be conscious of it. I don't know. Because though you and I share the concept of twin connection, my thumbprint is not your thumbprint. This life path I live is not yours, and as it should be. So your minute, finite experiences are going to be different, as it should be. Because just like a quartz crystal, a clear quartz crystal is a clear quartz crystal, depending on where it was mined, how it was shaped, how it was received, how it was polished, it's a different expression, right? So what I find interesting, and what you're going to have to understand, is that in loving yourself, right, you're going to actually do massive, powerful shifts that are going to blow your own mind. You're going to blow your own mind. And before you can blow the mind of your twin, right, you got to blow your own mind. You got to grow so that you're enough unto yourself. And so when you love yourself, guess what happens? You don't take a lot of shit from a lot of people. Bosses are no longer going to make you tremble in your boots. You're going to be able to negotiate raises and then have the balls to go on LinkedIn and go, fuck this. Let me go ahead and get myself a headhunter. In fact, let me get me 2 or 3. Let me look for something else. Or let me go take some classes on Reiki or a sound healing or a hypnotherapy or whatever. Do you get what I'm saying? I'm done with this fucking turnstile. I am out of this hamster wheel. I am not doing this shit anymore. Not for long. And at that point, you'll start writing your plans. And your plans will shift with the winds of change, because as they should. Don't get too crazy about plans. Plans are to give you some kind of blueprint. It's a blueprint. But similarly to an architect drawing out a blueprint and the client saying, I want more skylights, Okay, well, I'm going to change the blueprint for more skylights. How many more do you want? 3. Okay, cool. Be like that. You are the architect. But before you can become an architect, you're going to have to develop self-love. And your love, and what I found with clients is that many of you love the twin more than you love yourself. And that's a fucking problem. That's a problem. That will not bring your twin to you. Do you understand why that's true? Do you understand that if you love your twin more than yourself, you betray yourself? On a spiritual level, you betray yourself, because if you love your twin more than yourself, then in a sense, there's a part of you that you're not loving that's a part of your twin. Does that make sense? there's a part of you, right, that you're not loving, which is the part of you that you embody within this body that you're in, which means you don't love all of your twin, because if you love all and every part of your twin, then you love every part of yourself. It's not fucking easy to do that, but it's necessary for all of us to master that. That is part of the ascension. And when you love yourself, you don't take any fucking shit. You do not agree or consent to the 1%'s little bastardization of a society and what they call civilization anymore. You don't think it's connected to Twin Flame Runner Chaser? Really sit down and think about what I'm saying. Think about what I'm saying, because I'm not going to sell you the Ken and Barbie story, because that's not the story. Okay? This is not a fairy tale. This is something much more powerful and transcendental, much more magnificent. It's not a fairy tale. And yet, some of the fairy tales like Little Mermaid and The Sleeping Beauty are the two fairy tales I gravitate to in terms of massive messages. And you can see some of those examples on my profile page on my link, my TikTok. I've talked about it. And I have followers here that follow me constantly, so I don't want to keep repeating the same shit. But there are doors that will open for you. They're called portals. And these portals will open for you to give you opportunity to transform. And if fear is your jailer and not your ally, you will miss these opportunities of massive growth. And because, see, if you go through portals that make you feel fear, what are the portals? A new job, a new state, a new country, a new way of living. Those are portals that change. Being absolutely vulnerable to your person, massively, and not giving a fuck whether or not that's going to make them run. And when I say being massively vulnerable to your person, I don't mean telling them things about how you feel about them, meaning, I need you, I can't live without you, you're my, I don't mean that, okay? That's not what I mean. Please, that's not what I mean. I mean telling them what happened to you, why you love like you love, your past life remembrances, some of the things that actually marked you, the moments where you knew you weren't important in your family unit, the moment you found out you were a golden child or a scapegoat or both, even worse. Those moments. And then asking them, what was the moment when you realized you were a scapegoat, and explaining to them what that means, or a golden child. Those kinds of vulnerabilities that would actually collapse your twins' hell-bent self-protection that they can't be vulnerable to you, because if you find out what happened to them with the babysitter, shit like that, right? Fucking very traumatic shit, that you won't love them anymore. Do you get what I'm saying? That's going to be important. And learning how to love yourself in spite of what happened to you in this particular incarnation, in spite, even because of it, is going to be a massive 180 for you in this incarnation. And it will fucking catapult you to 5D. I'm not joking. This is not like, I'm not selling you snake oil. I'm trying to convince you that what you seek is within you. In other words, you're trying to fix your twin. I hear that a lot. Well, he needs, no, fucking no. I know she needs this, but what do you need? What do you fucking need? Well, if I move out of state, then I won't be with my twin. Are you really in that kind of lack consciousness? Do you know how many countries I've been to in states that separate me from my twin and we still end up getting together? Why? Because I fucking worked on myself. So don't be afraid. Once my Kundalini started activating, my twin was put on the back burner. Gotcha. So that is why love is the most important goal you should have for yourself. And what that does is the 100 monkey theory. It's a domino effect, because all of us are like we have the power of being quartz crystals. We have crystal in our bodies. Come to think of it, I just realized just saying it out loud. And so we kind of, it's like an auric field vibration that pulses out 20 miles out, 30 miles out, 100 miles out. It hits other people remotely, and it becomes a domino effect. It becomes a domino effect. That's why love. And the reason why we want to love someone beyond ourselves, right? We want to show them our worth through our love. We want to do all kinds of things to prove to them that we are worthy to be cherished. And I see this quite often I've seen it in myself clearly, and I've seen it in, there's not a client I've never seen that in. Never once have I seen a client who actually walked in saying, yeah, I love myself and I'm enough unto myself. I just want to know, am I correct? Is this a twin, right? For example. But I've yet to see a client literally say that. What I see and the energy I get is that they want to give everything and more. And my God, and even more than that, everything and things that are impossible to give to a twin to show them their worthiness. And that is toxic love, my friends. Because until you can give it to yourself, until you can look in the mirror and grin and realize it's a temporary body anyway, you and I both know that these are temporary. That's why some of you, not all of you will relate to this, but many of your children, and even today, will look in the mirror and it feels foreign what you're looking. The reflection in the mirror feels foreign, like somebody put a mask on your face. Like that can't be you. Well, it's because you've had so many incarnations. So many. That none of these masks, these faces we wear, hazel eyes, blue eyes, green eyes, gray eyes, brown eyes, doesn't matter what gender, race you are. Sometimes you look in the mirror and it feels foreign. And it's because we're not supposed to love that as much as we're supposed to internally love who we are ourselves. And then the external object, right, can be loved, can be adored, can be accepted for where it is in this incarnation. For example, being young, being old, aging, wrinkles, you know what I'm saying? Those things, and going, fuck it, I like to dye my hair because it's fun. Fuck it, I'm not dyeing my hair because it's better. It doesn't matter at that point because you have internally adored your inner little child, little girl, little boy, and you've gone through massive understandings of your shadows, and you've compassionately handled your business internally so that when a twin runs, it really, you don't see it as you not being accepted anymore. You see them and you see a reflection of your healed self, and you're going, wow, I hope they heal, because that must be really hard for them not to feel worthy of being loved and choosing partners that are fucking way below them, or choosing situations that are less than what they deserve. And you know it. You know it like your next breath. And so you don't get triggered anymore. You become transcendental. That's what it means to be transcendental, because you're like, wow, I hope she gets, my God, I'm just going to sage them remotely. I'm going to send them love. I'm going to work on my chakras first, because I come first, but I'm going to work on their chakras remotely, and hopefully they're going to, find them the place of peace within themselves. You're not going to lose your shit and go into ideations of not being here, if you get my drift. And you're not going to be self-destructive and self-harming if you get my drift. Does that make sense? You won't anymore, because you'll be much more involved in this incarnation and what you're supposed to do here. And you won't be just planting seeds for this incarnation, for the nectar of having sex with your twin and having all this beautiful nectar in this incarnation. You'll plant seeds for the next reality of an incarnation. It could be in 5D, or it could be on this planet in 5D, or it could be in 6D on another planet, 5D, 6D on another planet. It's all good. It's all good. And that's this is why spiritually excavating ancient truths that have been hidden from us purposely. Watch The Secret, Rhonda Byrne's The Secret documentary. Watch it, how she opens it up with the emerald tablets and the 1%. She never said 1%, but she sure in the fuck showed it. And what did she say in that video? It's worth repeating. They kept secrets of how to manifest. They kept it from us. That's it. She doesn't say much more. But you have to pay attention to what these people are saying. Because it's not about her video, her documentary is not really about how to get a bicycle. That's child's play. or how to get a gold necklace or whatever the hell. She does have a little clip. It's a clip of a woman who actually is healing herself from breast cancer. Okay, by just energy work. Okay, that's in her documentary. Now that's interesting because that's cellular regeneration. That's fucking amazing. So when you learn how to love yourself and you're going through a cellular regeneration, because somatically we do trap pain and trauma and self-loathing in all of our cells, our joints, whatever. And this is not woohoo. This is, I think people are catching up to that shit. You got people who actually make a living as somatic healers, helping people heal somatically. Like Reginald Ray is probably the king of that. He's definitely someone I would follow, Reggie Ray, R-A-Y. And so when you go through this process of realizing that this particular body you're in, right, this physical form is a temporary vessel. And so of course when you look in the mirror, because you're a starseed, that's a sign of a starseed too, looking in the mirror going, what the fuck is this? And not recognizing the reflection. I remember that happening to me when I was 8 years old. I'll never forget the moment, actually. I knew I could tell you exactly where it was and what floor of the house it was. I'm not joking. We lived in a villa in the south of France, in the bathroom, second floor. I can actually tell you it was to the right of my bedroom. And I remember looking in the mirror at 8 going, who am I? What is this? It felt absolutely foreign to me, this visage that looked back, those eyes that looked back. It felt actually uncomfortable. That's a starseed kind of like sign that you're definitely in something that's, it's like you're developing gills. There are crystals in the lysosomes of the cells, the liposomes, assist the mitochondria on producing energy. Beautiful. Sorry, I stumbled upon that after a spirit gave me a random number and I Googled the number. It was a DNA strand. That's fantastic. The Untethered Soul speaks about merging spiritual and physical to heal oneself. I find myself in the mirror a lot. Yeah. It's funny you said that because I have another client who just talked about Wow on the Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. So any questions on love as to why love is probably the most important thing that you can actually, it's the most important energy frequency that you could ever give yourself, because love was the very reason why you were created. It was love and it was desire. So don't be afraid of your desires. As long as they don't harm anyone, you're good to go with desires. Your desires should be not just for yourself, but for the collective. If I write this book, how will it help others? All right? There are short stories I've written that I've torn up and destroyed because I realized that they were not good for the collective. And so I destroyed them. There's something about destroying creations because sometimes you got to get the shadows and the darkness out of you before you can go and write the light, create the light on a painting, whatever. I've destroyed paintings that I knew weren't good. Not because of self-loathing. I wasn't depressed. It was, I realized, and I sat there. I remember sitting there going, I got to do this. It's not good. I don't want this to be here when I'm gone, when I have no control over how it will be circulated. So I've destroyed certain things that I shouldn't have created. Or maybe I needed to create it just to get it out of me and then I could destroy it. Right? All right. So you would ask me, well, what was it? What kind of art? Well, there was certain erotic work that I did because I'm an erotic artist. You can look that up on my Linktree. It's totally at the bottom of my profile page. It's at the bottom of my, Linktree. And, you can see the kind of work I did. I've done breast cancer work, things of that nature, and for lovers. But there were certain things I went into that was more like, I'll just call it Marquis de Sade like, okay? And I was not gonna fucking have that survive me. How's that? That's to be specific, okay? And I thought, nah, I'm not letting that live. Does that make sense? Love and authenticity, yes. I need to look in the mirror because it seems so foreign. Yes, you're not alone. You're not alone. That's a sign, okay? So when you love yourself, right? And you don't look in the mirror at your face when you love yourself. You look into your eyes and you do what I call eye gazing with the beloved, which is yourself. And there's 2 guided meditations that you can go on. Again, it's on my profile page. It's under meditation on the tabs above. And you'll see a man, a blue man. You look, a muscular blue man. That's the You want to look at both. I think there's part one. Part one tells you how to prepare yourself to do it. Part two is actually the guided meditation to do that, to look into your own eyes. I remember doing an exercise in New York, actually, when I was a kid. I was like 17. And I'd read somewhere, I forgot, because I read a lot of spiritual books, I was reading a lot of stuff since the age of 14. And so we put a candle in a bathroom. We were lucky to have one bathroom in the apartment that we lived in where there was absolutely no windows. So we put a candle in the bathroom and right underneath our face, and then we'd look in the mirror. And I remember seeing thousands upon thousands upon thousands of faces just flicking through. But my eyes barely never changed. My eyes were always the same, but the faces were changing. Bearded man, woman, Chinese woman. It just went on and on. But the eyes, I swear to God, didn't change. It was interesting. And so what I would say to you is to maybe do that as an exercise. It's kind of like it's a hypnotic, setup that you're creating. And I remember my brother saw a past life of a brutal warrior, and he ran out of the bathroom, fucking just totally freaking out. I think he was 11, but it's a good example, and it will give you a taste of all the human incarnations, and it might actually show you incarnations on different planets as different sentient beings as well. By the way, on the side note. But the exercise that I give you in the guided meditation is more about you just connecting to your soul. And what happens after about, say, 7 to 8 minutes, and you're gonna feel like you're toggling between your right and left eye, and you'll probably favor one eye, and you'll start seeing your soul emerging from behind the veils of the ego, and you'll actually see a very somber, very serious entity, you, gazing back at you. And that's quite sobering, because it's calm, it's reflective, it's not traumatized, it's the perpetual witness. And once you connect with yourself in your truest self, what happens is, it would be the beginning, in my opinion, humble opinion, that you start realizing that the ego needs to be a servant to the soul, not the opposite, which is the average human being. I don't care if they're the president of the US, I don't care if they're the president of Venezuela, I don't care who the fuck they are. The average human being is being ruled by the ego. And no one, and this is not my humble opinion, it's my fucking truth. And it's the truth. Because if that wasn't true, we would not be experiencing the famine and the bullshit and the 1% bullshit infrastructure created to put boot to throat of the millions, of the billions. There would be no agendas of the agendas you've actually seen on the internet throughout the years to subjugate our voices. So clearly the ego becomes parasitical if you allow it to fucking do whatever the hell it does. When somebody unalivens themselves, since we have to use fucking baby words and stupid ass words for very serious fucking content, but okay, let's use that word so we're both understanding. When someone self-harms, it's not the soul doing it, right? It's the ego. And so when you go through this journey of self-love, the battle, the exorcism is with the ego, not the soul. You have no problems with the soul. The soul is transcendental. The soul trusts that you'll either get it in this life or the next. The soul actually doesn't give a fuck when you get it. It's not bothered. It doesn't have any urgency. Do you understand? Not really. Because it knows if it's not in this life, it'll be in the next. It's very unconcerned. It's its peace. It knows its peace. But you have to let the soul speak. And if the chaos of your monkey mind, of the false ego, right, is preventing you from connecting with your soul, which is connected to source and your guides, your guided, your team of light beings, then the life is going to be fraught with a lot of problems and tower moments. And there's not going to be a lot of nectar. You can actually scope 30 years of a person's life, and if all they've gotten in 30 years is maybe 2 years of nectar, joy, peace, abundance, moments of fucking just wow, alone and with their beloved, If that's not enough. It's not enough for any human being to see a worth to this path. Does that make sense? So the way self-love works is that you become hell-bent on making sure, because, you know, as a parent to yourself, right? Parenting yourself, you're going to do anything to make sure you get the best of everything because your inner child deserves it. And once you come from that place of power, then no bullshit will be allowed to come in your way. None. Especially when it's trickling down to you from the 1%. You're not going to fucking take any shit. And you're going to carve out a life that is the most authentic, probably one of the best lives you've ever had on this incarnation, in any incarnations on this planet, not on other planets. Because what's interesting when I do hypnotherapy and my clients go and they actually see and experience their past lives on other planets when there was none of these infrastructures, okay? None of this shit's happening. People are living in little tribes and they're happy and they're free. They're feeling free to express themselves, and everything they need is there for them. They're able to manifest it on the spot, or it's already there for them. So many of us who are starseeds have lived these kinds of systems. And that's why many of us here have known, but then we were browbeaten through our schooling, through job interviews. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Not fucking here, my friend. I hope not. Okay? So we've been browbeaten. And again, I invite many of you to go back. They're telling me to say that to you. Go back to watch Rhonda Byrne's The Secret, the whole entire thing. If you're not seeing a man stealing an emerald tablet in Egyptian garb, if you're not seeing men sitting around a table, you're on the wrong version of that documentary. Just so you know, because I want you to see the entire thing. And I want you to really rewind it again and again, what she's saying about the emerald tablet and those men, because those men represent the 1%, how they kept that knowledge from us by design, how they manifested and manipulated sound frequency by design, how church bells that had frequencies. In fact, if you've ever gone to a Tibetan temple or a Japanese temple or what have you, and you hear them ring the gong or the bell, your body just fucking blisses out. It's like you're melting within yourself. Well, imagine that this was happening in European churches all over Europe with these bells. And if you've ever been in that part of the world, as I have, in Europe, you're hearing some of these bells. There's no sound like it. It's massively healing. That's why when you do sound baths, it's almost like everything is pouring out of you, off you, as if you're melting into yourself. And everything that's toxic and clingy and shitty is just falling away from you or being transmuted. And suddenly it's almost like you're vibrating all this incredible light from a sound bath. But these things to change, like even something as simple as instrumentation tuning from 432 hertz to 440 by design. It's like a subtle nails on a blackboard. And we know this is true because we know dogs hear sounds we can't hear at all. So we know the subtlety of the fuckery. And that's what we have to start demanding. Deva Premal, who's a singer who does kirtans, Deva Premal, if you look up 432 Deva Premal, her Gayatri mantra, for example, which is an 8-hour one, is it 432 hertz? She's not stupid. She knows. She knows. Good musicians know. Ancient wisdom musicians know to make sure that their instruments are, set up for 432. When I got a Shruti, a Shruti box, I made sure that they changed it to 432, not 440 hertz. Because why would I listen to 440 hertz when I'm trying to do sound healing for myself or for clients? Hello. So this has been going on for the last, I'd say maybe 200 years. And I know that I looked up, and again, I was confirmed. These 440 hertz to from 432 to 440 happened in 1939. I knew the date was correct. It was the year my mother was born. That's why I didn't forget. Rockefellers. So this path of self-love is not so much. See, when you love yourself, you don't have to protect yourself, because when you love yourself, your whole system, your whole nervous system is such in tune with source, right? That you don't have to protect yourself, because I'm going to protect my energies. I'm going to create, because people won't be attracted to you if they're fucked up. They won't. You'll have tests. Don't get me wrong. Every blue moon, you'll have somebody that's really low vibration come up to you, and it's usually a test. I've had those tests. And I remember realizing as soon as it happened, oh, they're testing me. And I fucking busted up laughing, because instead of being afraid, and what I mean by something happened that was very serious, and I laughed it off. I should have been scared, but I knew it was a test. So if that happens, it's not because you're being attacked in that way, because you're fucking up. It's because you're doing really good. And that's why many of you are actually dealing with psychic attacks. Do you think the energies, the negative energies, not just the 1%, but the energies that the 1% are aligned to? You get what I'm saying? I mean, if you're listening to David Icke, you know what I'm talking about. If you're listening to Sasha Stone, you know what I'm talking about. If you're listening to these guys that have been banging drums of warning with David Icke, he's been doing that for 40 years, at least 40 years. 40 years. If not 30, but definitely, I'll say 30. And Sasha Stone came out of nowhere during the lockdowns, okay, on YouTube. So both these guys you can look up. And so there are energies that the 1% are aligned to. And when you are walking in your light, when you are learning how to master self-love, you will have someone, you might. I'm not going to say you will. I'm going to back up, because some of you won't. Some of you will, though, have attacks, what many of us call psychic attacks. And that's what happened to Doreen Virtue. That's what happened to a lot of these people who were, creating shit. And you might say, well, but she went back to her religion. Yeah, but she went back to an old dogmatic religion. She didn't go back to Yeshua and Mary Magdalene, knowing that Mary Magdalene and Yeshua are the twin ray, twin rays. They're rays, not flames. And so what you need to ask yourself is, what is preventing you from exercising all that incredible self-love to yourself? Do you really need to go through a dark night of the soul? Is that necessary for you? Is it? I mean, for me, apparently it was. And so I'm not judging you. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I did a lot. From 2018 on, I had to do a lot of shit to learn how to love myself enough to say, not to be worried about even my longevity in this incarnation. Like, I'm not worried. Like, I trust that when it's time to drop my body, but before that happens, I want to make sure that I've aligned myself to aligning myself with self-love. And it is a struggle. Believe me, I'm not walking on water. I'm telling you what I know we need to do, what I need to do personally, and what you need to do. I'm inviting you to look at this, because if all you're doing is shoving all your love to your twin because you're needy and because you're desperate to have the nectar of their touch, and it's all you can think of, maybe you need to go through the dark night of the soul and come out like a phoenix rising from the ashes of your old self. It could be necessary. I know I needed to do ayahuasca. I needed to do Bufo. I need to do the grandfather, San Pedro. I needed to do these things. But I didn't need to do it again and again and again and again and again. You're not, if you can't this should be a reset. That's it. You don't need to fucking go and do fucking ayahuasca 4 times a year, which I'm seeing people do. If you can't let the medicine work through you and let you discover and excavate and emerge, like things emerging out of you, then I don't know. I mean, what the fuck? It's not, there's certain things where you got to stop and go, wait, maybe I need to do 3-4 years with myself and rediscover parts of my shadows and lovingly forgive myself for those shadows. I have shadows of some of the brutality of me having many incarnations as a warrior. And I've come to, and I wish my husband had done that, Nick, you know, and maybe he did actually, come to think of it, forgive himself in the end. But not only have I forgiven myself, but I fucking like those qualities because they're badass qualities. It means I'm fearless as a warrior. In other words, I'm not a wallflower because I was a warrior. And some of it was just absolutely insane, absurd, and brutal. I get it. And I forgive myself. But there's some qualities to that: fearlessness, tenacity, power, strength, arrogance. Arrogance in that I will win this. There is no way back. There's a great story with Alexander the Great where he told his warriors that they were going to conquer Persia. You know how he did it? This is where that saying, burning your ships, comes from. It was nighttime, and he burned the fucking ships, and that was his way of saying, we can't go back to Greece, to Macedon. We're fucked. We better win this battle. And so they did. And so that is a warrior's energy. And there are things we can take from these past lives as high priestesses, warriors, druids, druidesses, farmers, mothers, midwives, herbalists, soldiers, kings, queens, and you get the drift, right? You get what I'm saying. And so what we have to do is take the shadows of some of the brutal things we chose to do, which was wrong, and we know that, and forgive ourselves for that, and take all the qualities and marshal them into light. Into light. And so that's why sometimes people will be very soft-spoken and soft and like, but not soft in a real power like Kuan Yin soft, like shy, like removed from their power, like afraid, so afraid that they've become almost, they can't even marshal a fucking sentence of any power. They're out there, a lot of them. And I often wonder, what are you hiding inside of you? What are the shadows that fucking have literally cut your throat chakra in half, where you can't even articulate a powerful thought or a powerful sentence or something of urgency or passion? What happened? What past life has got you muzzled? And that's something to unravel, to excavate, because that's going to prevent you from loving yourself. You have to know what created your blocks. You have to know. And that is an urgency you should have. Because the sooner you can actually uncover those blocks, right? The sooner you can get to a place of awe. Yeah, it's okay to, wow. I was Attila the Hun. Wow. What do you regret? Well, pretty much everything, except fuck, man. I sure got shit done. Yes, I know. That's a good quality. The other part's not so good, is it? No, it's definitely not good. Definitely not good. I really decimated whole fucking, no, that's not good. I regret that. Good. Regret, forgive, and release it. But what's the part that you love? Wow, well, I did this and I did that. And, well, yeah, those are good qualities. Take those. Make those yours. In this new understanding and consciousness that is becoming your journey of embracing and loving yourself. That's why excavation to your dark shadows is absolutely an integral part of the ascension. Without it, you're fucked. You're going to be a wallflower, and you're going to go through the hamster wheel, reincarnating in situations that are a frequency match, because again, self-loathing, lack of self-love, whatever the fuck you want to, whatever term that is going to make sense to you. Or I don't feel ready, I'm not ready. And then here you are, being spat out into a frequency match, and you might be a baby. You've seen those pictures of these newborns looking around going, what the fuck? Who are these? What happened? And that is a real, I don't think it's a joke. I think these kids are really these little babies, or these ancient souls going, what did I just say yes to? Or what was my frequency match a match to? Does that make sense? I'm not being funny, actually, when I say that. Let me see here. Let me read your comments if you don't mind. I find myself in the mirror a lot. I need to look in the mirror because it seems so foreign. Love and the authenticity. Yes, my heart chakra is on fire at random times. Makes me weepy. Not always, but sometimes. That's good. Don't control it. Weepy, fucking cry. Bawl your eyes out. You may want to lay on Pachamama and just say, Pachamama, what do I need to heal? And just lay there for like an hour. Yes, my eyes, I have had to do double take because of my eyes even seem to be different color. You looking into the spark in your eyes more than the iris. You're looking into your energy. Yes. Happy new day. Okay, anything. The medicine, our teachers, they show us how to reach the vibration of alignment, sort of like a map. Yes. It's insane. My twin was saying he saw a guy who was doing ayahuasca every month and not in a retreat. So we can get there again after experiencing it with the guide. I've seen the newborns looking around in shock. Yeah, they're in shock because everything we're learning from the lady passing away at her desk at a bank and no one knew for 4 days. That is a massive lesson. She is a gift. She had a soul contract with source, okay, with herself, with her guides, to have that end happen. So, and it was part of the awakening for us. Okay, that was a gift. God bless her soul because she is a magnificent soul. She contracted to have a mundane life, clearly, and that her last gift, her only gift, maybe she had many gifts she gave people, right? But her last gift was to the planet. I'm not joking when I say that. To say, wake the fuck up. Now, with the babies coming in and we're seeing them looking around confused, because I don't know about you, but when my baby was born, he was smiling I'm not joking. Well, no, the first thing he did was slap the nurse, but that was because they were trying to squeeze mucus out of his nose, right? But once he was done with slapping the nurse's hand away, to the point where the nurse literally jumped back. And that's when I knew I had a powerful boy because I was like, holy shit. But after that, he was smiling, okay? He was like looking at me and we were smiling at each other and welcome, my baby, welcome to your new home. But I'm seeing babies, brand new born babies looking around absolutely fucking confused. Absolutely confused. And that is a lesson for us. Everyone's like doing it as a meme, like it's a joke. It's not a fucking joke. It's not a joke. It's serious shit. And we're being shown our choices in these incarnations. Look at how one person passes. Look at how another person is born into. Does that make sense? So it's kind of interesting. Let me see here. Her last gift was to expose separation and callousness. Bless her. Yes. My grandson is a month old and still looks around like, what's going on here? If I were you, I would chant to him mantras, Sanskrit mantras. I would read to him beautiful poetries that are esoteric, beautiful things. I would fill him with high frequency music, sounds of whales and dolphins, things of that nature. Her last gift, I love this, Andromeda. Her last gift was to expose separation and callousness. You speaking of her gift to us made my entire right arm vibrate. That's fantastic, Jessica. I'm glad it hit you because that's what we need to do as a people. When we look at people, instead of going, oh my God, it's so sad. Yeah, no, it's sad. Don't get me wrong. Yes, it is. But to say, what's the gift behind what just happened? Okay, what's the gift? I remember working for a mortgage company that worked us like dogs. I was in my late 30s and I was working 7 days a week. It was insane. And I remember they would have a newsletter every month. And every newsletter, there was somebody who had perished from a car accident. And one day I realized after the second, third newsletter, I went, wait a minute, hang the fuck on. They're working us over so badly, right? They're working us over so badly. I'm sorry, they always put like this thing where I have to do a puzzle to put the puzzle together to make sure, whatever. Anyway, on this live, that I realized that these, and they were all men actually, were so overworked that they were actually falling asleep at the wheel. I knew it. I mean, I'm a fucking psychic for Christ's sake. I knew it. I knew they were falling asleep at the wheel. 3 men in 3 months. I quit. That was it. I quit. Fuck this job. I quit. And I bridged myself into something else. Okay? And I did it with a ferocity like you have no idea. Like I was fucking done. Because that was my message. And see, if I hadn't listened to the message, I probably would have had a tower moment, like a car accident or something worse. Okay? Something worse. So we have to look at our sign. We got to read the writings on the wall. You know when you're about to get fired. You know when you're about to lose a job. You know when you're about to do X, Y, and Z, or when this is not good for you, when it's harming you, when you're having nightmares about your job. You know that. So become intentional about creating a bridging out of this world of 3D worker bees bullshit, worker ants, fuck bees, worker ants, like ants, to, because, you know, to your new life on the new earth. And that is like important. It's probably the most important gift you can give yourself in this incarnation, because many incarnations you were a farmer, you were a serf, you were a foot soldier walking into battles. You didn't even fucking understand why you were walking into battles. You didn't even know why you were in that battle. No one told you. Okay? In other words, it's almost like we were living, when you look back at some of these incarnations that I've seen in my own, and I'm sure if you could look into yours through hypnotherapy or whatever, or your own downloads, you'll look at those lives going, we were just existing. Now, we did have incarnations where we were living, but for the most part, we were existing. And we were being controlled by the 1%. I'm being real. And they devised new ways of creating fear in us, right? Like one of the things that happened in the Council of Nicaea with the bishops and Constantine was they took out the part about reincarnation. Do you know why they did that? Because people were saying, I don't want to live like that. Fuck it, I'm out. If you get my drift, wink, wink. And they realized, wait, we don't have enough workers. Wait, we don't have enough servants. they're you know, dropping their bodies. Wink, wink. You get my drift, right? And so they took out the part of our reincarnation because people thought, yeah, this is not going to work. I'm out. I'm not doing this one. Yeah, give me a new one because I'm not accepting this one. This incarnate, I'm not accepting this. And so they took it out. There was a reason for that. It wasn't, oh, well, we don't believe. No, it was, no, we believe in it. And we're taking it out because if a lot of people believe in it, then they know that they are the masters of their lives. You know, so we'll give them something else. The meek shall inherit the earth, which it wasn't given, it was said. It was truly said. And again, I keep repeating myself and I'm sorry, but it's this concept of the meek, the nonviolent, the beautiful people who believe that we all deserve abundance. Every single one of my neighbors should be happy. Everyone on this planet should be safe, thriving, happy. Their root chakra should be together. People shouldn't be raped. Again, I fucking hate that word. Shouldn't be assaulted in a hospital and for no reason. A woman should be able to take a fucking walk at 3:00 in the morning nude. I'm sorry, men. I remember saying that, and I'm going to give that credit to my beautiful Nick, my husband, who passed away in 2020. God bless his soul. And I remember telling him something about a case. That was a very well-known case. Jodie Foster did a movie about it, and I don't remember the title, so I won't mention it. But I go, she really put herself in that position. And Nick turned to me, who was 25 years old. This is the 1980s, men. And he said, Tony, I don't give a shit if she's Ursula Andress at her best, or Bo Derek, or Angela Bassett at her best. I don't give a fuck. And she's walking down the street naked at 3:00 in the morning. I would get a blanket, cover her, then ask if she needed help, and then probably take her to the hospital. No one deserves that. Doesn't matter what you wear. I remember a case of grape where they pulled out what the woman had wore underneath her dress, the bra and panties. Why was that even shown? I remember when shit like that happened to women in the 70s, and they always went back into our history to see if we had been loose, was the word. Which one, you know what I'm saying? So when we demand for all a peaceful, happy, loving life, we can't really do it with any true power until we've given ourselves the power of self-love. Once that happens, there's a domino effect. Trust me. Trust me on that one. Because for what happened to that woman in that hospital is a clear connection to a domino effect in the massively deviant, vicious, brutality that it is. But there is a domino effect. I hope you realize that. It's going on in the Congo. It's going on it's going on in high schools in this country, by the way. Just on a side note, I remember being unfortunately aware of it in my high school. Okay, that's why I remember when they were saying, "Oh, you know, we're having a what was it? A reunion." I'm like, a reunion with these fuckers? Are you kidding me? Hell no, fuck that. Because in the 70s, when a young girl got raped, okay, by football teams and people like that, it was her that got kicked out, not the girl, not, you know, it was her, not the guys. And this happened a lot. So that domino effect that we have across the world that is becoming more and more obvious because of social media. It's not that it just began in the last 10 years. It's always been there. It's just that now we know about it en masse. So when self-love happens and you become a womb that brings life onto this planet with self-love, you bring about and you attract, because of your frequency, high-level souls. I mean, you're not going to get a fucked up soul coming in your womb, because, my friend, your womb is high vibration and it's not a match. Think of it as garlic around your neck against vampires. I'm just being honest. I try to simplify it as best as I can, only because I want it to be so obvious. That's why womb healing is it's part of your self-love journey. Men, you too. Womb healing, Harat chakra, belly button area. When a man loves himself and goes through the journey of self-love, he doesn't have to harm not one thing. In fact, to harm anything, a kitten, a mouse, a spider, a butterfly, a caterpillar, it will not want to harm anything that lives and breathes the same oxygen we breathe. It will not want. This is why there's a lot of steps to the change that's going to happen as one by one, all of us begin the great magic of self-love. And all of that has to do with your twin flame separation. All of it. Every single thing I've just said is completely directly connected to twin flame runner chaser. And if you don't see that, then please go on to your next content creators who will give you all kinds of bullshit that will actually soothe. It's like thumb sucking. It's like I just gave you a pacifier. I just took the pacifier out of your mouth. And some of you aren't going to like it. And it's not a mirroring. Oh, well, if he does this, it's a mirror. It's a mirror of you. Bullshit. Sometimes what's being done to you is not a mirror of you. It's not. They're actually an asshole. Period. End of story. And self-love will say, wait, that's not me. Yeah, that's right, girl. That isn't you. Or man, that isn't you. That isn't you. That is them being an asshole. And because they're an asshole and because you love yourself, you're not going to accept that. Fuck the mirror work. I hate that. It's a weak ass fucking excuse, because here you are being victimized twice by the New Age community. It's you. It's all you. No, all you need to worry about is, do I love myself enough to not take this kind of bullshit from my boss, from a lover, from my mother, from my father, from my brother? I don't take that shit anymore. That means I love myself. That means it isn't me in this moment. Sometimes, is the mirror work okay? Yeah, okay. But let's not fucking make it all mirror work. That's a weak ass medicine. It is not true. Sometimes you really are dealing with a narcissist and you really aren't the problem. You know that, I hope, right? So mirror work has its points for a minute, but it's not all your story. Can you upload this? My daughter needs to hear this. I will totally upload this. Absolutely. You speaking of her gifts. Okay. Thank you. They always said that mirror is very bad. Well, that's true, but Twin Flame Universe kept using the mirror. Oh, you can't find your twin? Oh, mirror yourself. Oh, you can't be in a twin flame relationship they're running? Mirror yourself. No, it's not mirror yourself. Love yourself so you don't give a fuck. Love yourself so that if your twin can't be with you because they're so hell-bent on being in 3D, because you see, you have to match their frequency. So if they are hell-bent on being in 3D and you're hell-bent on being in 5D, it's not a match, is it? So if you love yourself, you're choosing you, which is 5D. You're not choosing them, which is 3D. That means you can't follow them in the cave of ignorance. You will not go into the cave of ignorance, not for nothing, not even for your twin, not even for your twin. And if you can't understand how important that is, then please go back to your content creators, like some of these bimbos out there who have met their twin once and have started a whole coaching business on what to do with twins and how you can come into union with your twin. Those bimbos are out there and they're very successful. And I'm not saying this to shame you. I'm saying this to maybe you need to go through that kind of bullshit and go through massive amount of pain so that you finally come back to someone that speaks this truth as opposed to that bullshit, because it's not a truth, it's bullshit. And that's why the twin flame and twin ray community is being attacked in mass media, saying that it's a new age invention because of these idiots talking bullshit about what a twin flame journey is. Oh, it's about loving yourself, and but they're not really saying, how does that look? How does it feel? How does it taste in my mouth? What do I do with that? How do I do that?